Calkins, and I'm here today with my colleague Wayne Balta, who's from IBM. He's the Vice President of Corporate Environmental Affairs and Product Safety at IBM.
Yes.
Pretty much holds the same role that I do at Xerox. And we're here at the Corporate EcoForum in Washington, D.C. A lot of really interesting conversation around sustainability.
Indeed.
And, so Wayne, what do you think are some of the key takeaways or insights that you've seen during this two-day forum that we've been participating in?
What I've noticed as consistent input during this event has been a continued recognition that sustainability is here to stay, and in terms of exercising initiatives that are good for the environment or sustainability, there is an increased focus on making sure that they add value and that they're good for business. And it's been recognized that what we do in our companies, IBM or Xerox, our initiatives have to themselves be sustainable, and they can only be sustainable if they make good business sense. This isn't just about philanthropy and wanting to do good. Okay, this is about doing things that add value, that don't waste time, and help us make money.
Yeah, you know, and the other thing that I've noticed is that people have really sort of gotten the benefit of the bottom line benefit to the business, and now are starting to discuss there's top line opportunities also, which I know IBM has explored. And I think some of the things that I've heard too is that what are some of the areas or challenges that we have in terms of getting this embedded in our businesses so that we can leverage the opportunities? So have you heard similar sorts of things too?
Sure, I think one of our ongoing challenges, and I suspect for any organization like a Xerox or an IBM, would be how do we inculcate this, how do we make this cultural, how do we make this ethic a routine part of jobs of our colleagues who aren't environmental people like us, all right? Because when that integration happens, then the engineers, the scientists, the business persons can apply this thinking to what they do day to day and make it more efficient. When it's more efficient, it's better for our businesses and it's better for the environment. You know, a lot of us have chatted at this event about supply chain, all right? How do we work with our supply chains? One approach that we are undertaking now at IBM is the following. We have asked all of our global suppliers, 28,000 plus, to do three things: define and employ their own management system for this subject, set at least 3 voluntary goals or objectives that make sense for their business that they can achieve, and to publicly disclose how they're doing. Not disclose it to us at IBM, but to disclose it publicly. And our whole interest here is in building the capacity with our suppliers for them to be able to stand on their own 2 feet and for them to have accountability for their own actions. They may be our supplier for a year, for 5 years, for 18 months, we don't know. But when they become more efficient, what we buy from them becomes more efficient.
And I really like this notion, because we did have a lot of discussion as we as businesses extend our supply chains and they get very complex. And the expectation is that as large companies that we're responsible for what our supply chains do. There's this whole question as to whether we should be tracking and measuring their performance, or perhaps helping them become more aware of their performance and to implement the systems within their organizations to build, as you had said, capacity, or as I would say, capability within their own organizations. So, and I see that as, you and I have been in this game for a really, really long time. And with this awakening externally, now we find ourselves in a position to help bring others along the learning curve.
Right.
And I think it's really interesting. That's the approach that you folks have taken, is to help share that learning, to bring others along the path, rather than just saying, give me your data, or trying to figure out the data to be able to report the data. We did have a lot of discussion around scope 3 data, whether it's carbon or energy or water. We can clearly measure what we're doing, but what are the issues around the data when you're trying to measure what your entire supply chain is doing?
Great question. And I don't think this is really very complicated at all. Okay, in the final analysis, for companies like ours to do well, we want our supply chain to support us. The best way for that to happen is for our suppliers to stand on their own 2 feet to accept personal responsibility and accountability for their own work, and that will translate to us. Must we help them? Can we help them? Sure, we can do that. Do the poor impacts in our supply chain impact us adversely? Yes, they do. How do you fix it? Build the capacity. We strongly believe in that, and we've put our programs where our rhetoric is. There's a lot of things out there in this arena that one can do, and I'll be the first to tell you that I don't think everything that's green is gold. Okay? There are activities that we can be asked to do that might not add a lot of value. You know, you referenced one. Okay, to what extent does it make a lot of sense to apply incremental resource from within our operations to make an estimate of an estimate of an estimate, and then to assert that it's, you know, deterministic to three significant figures? I don't find a lot of value add in that. Okay, I would rather apply the available resource that I have, whether it's a head count or a dollar, to the direct change of operations that produces the desired result, whether it's energy conserved, greenhouse gases avoided, waste reduced, waste recycling, smarter choice of materials. Okay, that makes value. That makes economic sense.
And I think we just full circled with what you started with, which is making sure that as we're investing our resources, whether it's dollars or people, is that we're driving the value in the business that also delivers the sustainable results.
Correct.
And I thank you so much for having this conversation, and
My
I look
pleasure,
forward
Patty.
to continuing.
I always
Thanks.
enjoy being with you. Thanks.